Howdy folks and welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another episode of Hearts of Iron 4 with the Total War mod in our alternate history campaign with Japan. Now I have to say this video is just the first half of, let's say, what we're supposed to be one long video. The original video was like 2 hours and 45 minutes long. So for your sake, I decided that maybe it was the case to split it up into two distinct episodes. So in the first part of this first video, I just kept, as always, finishing up the preparation for the war in the Pacific against the Allies. This meant preparing an invasion plan towards the Philippine Islands using my 11 marine divisions. Now, you may notice that all of the marine divisions invasion plans are set to sail across the South China Sea, and that's because I wanted to concentrate all of my navy within one single sea region. And more of this hopefully in the rest of the video. I also began to redeploy most of my fleets. I created two new task forces from the reserves with mainly one I would say frontline carrier, as you can see now, one frontline carrier and a bunch of light cruisers and a bunch of destroyers. And I must confess, I'm really happy about this because in this episode, while I was messing around with my fleets, I finally realized that I can handle the fleets. I can edit, as you can see here, the task force compositions, even though I noticed there is a very tiny bug. Whenever I was selecting a frontline carrier, so not a light carrier, no fleet carrier would leave the reserve and join the task force. So I have no idea of why is this. I'm pretty sure that if in the next round of campaigns I will play a naval nation, I will absolutely, maybe ideally, combine all of my fleets into the reserves and then manually assign them from there, because I found that this actually works. And as I was busy talking, many things happened in the game, but the most important of all was that for whatever reason I got the event of the American fleet in Pearl Harbor, which in turn triggered the war with the Allies. And my idea of sending my fleet into one single sea zone turned out to be quite fruitful and victorious, because I could manage to land my marine divisions into the Philippines. And as soon as the war broke out, because I had let's say my ships in task force mode. I think it's called task force or strike force. Sorry, strike force. I could enjoy an immediate sea naval superiority that allowed me to land in China. At the same time, my motorized tank and footborne infantry armies kept advancing towards Hong Kong and the French into China. At the beginning of the game, I also began to fortify some of my islands, but not all of them. And I must spoiler that this turned out to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest mistake of this first part of the campaign. And the second biggest mistake, you saw it here when I divided my fleets into multiple sea regions. Well, I realized too late that it was just a waste of resources and a waste of time. Also because in one of the early naval battles, I basically lost already one, if not two, of my task forces. I lost one carrier, two battleships, I think 6 or 7 light cruisers, and 10 destroyers, which was, wow, already a a big heavy blow for my poor fleet. Let's say these setbacks at sea was, let's say, counteracted. I would say counterbalanced better by the quick and easy collapse of the Allied lines around Hong Kong, in China, and in the French um, Indochina. I've noticed one thing here that for whatever reason, whenever I was pausing the game to read all the reports of the naval battles, for some reasons, many of these reports would not close at the end, but they would just stick there, and yeah, that was quite, I would say, quite annoying to always click multiple times on the same on the same battle report. And before it was too late, I also decided to call Siam to arms to join the mighty struggle against the Allied war machine. And because the Allies do have this kind of very long line stretching from Burma deep into Siam, the most obvious thing to do was to chop this worm, I would say, at the base to trap as many Allied divisions as possible between Siam and the sea, basically. And yeah, because again the AI is not very smart in this regard. The AI, as always, it tends to fortify the entire front line, and of course you can kind of exploit this by chopping away the head of this long worm. I did call my Air Force to help me in establishing air superiority, even though I must say that the contribution of my Air Force was very, very minimal. I think it was ranging between 6 and 9% towards naval supremacy, which still was a big problem for me, because whenever I wanted to launch an amphibious invasion, I needed to get at least 60% of naval superiority. So yeah, I mean, you will see that in this, maybe in the second part, or even in the next episode, in the next two episodes, I did find a way to gain enough naval superiority to allow my troops to land within the specific islands of the Pacific. I did move my Air Force because I realized, oh crap, I forgot to move my flying boys. And yeah, as you can see, I began to slice into two this long, gigantic worm. Even though I must confess that the Allies did put up a stiff resistance. I think that was because of the technological development, as well as because of the templates that the Allied AIs were using. But still, as always, as I like to say many times, for several times, whenever you play Total War mode, the key to victory is to enjoy air superiority. And if you enjoy air superiority, and if you have plenty of close air support, well, you know, victory is yours, as you can see right here. At the same time, I never mentioned this, I moved one of my infantry armies towards Singapore, because one of the goal of this first part of the campaign was to take control of British Malaysia and then prepare to attack the Dutch East Indies, so Java, the islands of Java, Borneo, and Sumatra. Here again, I just wasted a lot of time in messing around with my fleet, because I this is something that I could not understand. My fleet had the order of establishing naval superiority by launching patrols, but I could never get it, because for whatever reason the Allies were still having fleets sailing in the northern Micronesia sea zone, and I could not understand because my ships could never intercept them. I was like, how is this possible? I mean, this makes no sense. So again, if you know why was I saying this, please let me know in the comments below. Even though, as I said, I will I will show you how I did manage to gain naval superiority whenever I needed it. And also, one big mistake, let's say, made from my side was that uh, at some point I just lost control of the, let's say, micromanaging art of the art of micromanaging my fleets, because the Allies just launched a powerful counteroffensive that began with the landings in Palau, Guadalcanal, and I think the island of Truk. But I think more of this towards the end of the video. And also, I never commented this, but let's say the Light Purple Army, exactly here you can see the first Allied counteroffensive, and this completely upset my plans. And I forgot to mention that the Purple Army did strike at the British Raj from the north, from the former area of Tibet, and that also was a very good move in my opinion, because it distracted enough Allied divisions to weaken the Burman front. And yeah, I just set up some orders from the Burma front to begin my strike deep into Burma and severe the enemy railway lines. The struggle for the Philippines was going on, because I realized that 24 infantry divisions in one tile are maybe a bit too much. And I also decided to redeploy the, let's say, Light Purple Army, the one that took Singapore on the northern Indian front. And that's because, again, by attacking and invading into India, I simply did not have enough troops. I just run out of troops, and my front line was getting longer and longer, and I had to bring in more reinforcements. To speed up the fall of the Philippines, I decided to launch an amphibious invasion in the south, as you can see right now. And spoiler alert, this turned out to be not enough to gain control of the islands, and I had to do two more seaborne invasions to finally capitulate the Philippines. And okay, so with this, I think it's enough, let's say, narration of what's happening. You can enjoy the rest of the video, and as always, remember to leave a like and leave a comment to see if you appreciated this. And as always, be safe, take care, and stay tuned for the next episode.
撃たれて逃げゆく八方の敵を追い伏せ追い散らし全軍のプラウズ打ち破る主兵が二の重ければ馬が乗る馬をこのごとく誓わぬ人もあるぞかし大きの兵強く連戦連勝せしことは百難を犯して輸送する漁業市場の賜物ぞ忘るな一日遅れなば一日たゆと兵力を戦地に名誉の負傷して収容せなる小卒の命と頼むは衛生会非常に味方の兵の味方敵をも隔てぬ同人の情けよ思えば君の恩うちには詩人の君まし外には十分の兵ありて我が手に握り主戦勝の 東に収まりて昇る朝日とものともに輝く人民の名も高く知らぬアジアの日の出国光めでたくなおが